Hey everyone, welcome to the CaptainDrone YouTube channel. My name is Steve and I am a drone pilot, but would this be a drone in my hand? No, this is an RC plane. And we're gonna take this out for a flight today. So this is the FMS Skytrainer 182. This plane is 1400 millimeters from wingtip to wingtip. It's not too large. That's pretty much the largest most people want to go. Now, FMS sent me this plane because they said, Steve, a lot of people watch your YouTube channel that are drone pilots, and most drone pilots want to fly RC helicopters or RC planes. As soon as you fly a drone, something in the air, then you usually branch out into FPV drones, helicopters, or planes. So they sent me this plane and they told me it's a trainer. Now, normally trainers are designed for beginners because they're very easy to fly and they fly very nicely. I don't know. Haven't flown this one, so this would be a maiden. I have assembled it and I will show you how I assembled it in this video, but before we get to that, I guess we're going to fly this first and I'll tell you how good it flies. Also, if you hear a lot of noise, there's I don't know if you can see it here, there's a tractor back there, and he's just, every time I come out, Tractor Man is here. I don't know if he has like a camera on my house, sees me leave, and then he comes out. Because other days when I'm not filming, there's no tractor. Now, before the Maiden Flight, let me show you the plane up close. For a plane classified as a trainer, it's very well detailed. Check this out, there's even a pilot in the cockpit, and the cockpit has clear windows. You do get a chrome spinner on a tri-bladed prop with an 850 kV brushless motor. Some nice details include antennas on the top, you have beautiful tricycle landing gear which is nicely decorated. You also receive a full complement of surface areas such as ailerons, flaps, elevator, rudder, wingtip LED indicators in the colors of red and green, extra bright wing landing lights are included, and a blinky red tail light for orientation purposes. All in all, for the price, the Skytrainer is a very good looking plane. So now we go out to my field. I have the radio in one hand, the plane in the other, and a backpack over my shoulder with all my camera gear. I will say this plane is extremely light. I think it's made out of like Swiss cheese or something. There's no weight to this plane whatsoever, even when you put a battery in, so it's definitely a very light plane to fly very nicely in the sky. Now, one thing I should point out, the plane is down there, but look at my runway. I say this every time, it's getting worse. It's got bumps everywhere, gravel, it's got grass growing through it, but that grass is partially growing and partially pushed over by the lawnmower man here that's throwing things down here. So it's not very good for the tiny little wheels on this thing to drive, but I think it'll be okay. Tractor Man is now driving over the course. There we go. See all the grass he put there? Holy crap. Now I gotta try to avoid that. Now this plane flies on a 3S battery, and I have a tiny little 3S 2200 milliamp hour LiPo battery here that I'm gonna put in this plane. All right, so my radio is on and I do have the correct model selected, and I do have the timer set at 5 minutes, but I'll probably change it to 4 minutes because I don't like to fly too long on maidens. Let me show you, for people that have never used a plane with a bottom load battery, let me show you how I do it. CaptainDrone never leaves home without a landing pad. Okay, so this plane has one of those bottom load features. So what I do is I put the nose on, usually on grass, and then I just straddle my legs around it like this, down here, just press this in, see this, and the battery compartment comes off. The funny thing about this battery, since it's made for beginners, I don't know why, they don't give you a loop system. Like there's no loop to hold the battery in. So I do have Velcro on the battery, which works, and I'll just match up the Velcro there. So I just shove the battery in, doesn't matter where you put it, and then we'll put the cover back on. I'm gonna guess the flight time on this thing is ridiculously long because it doesn't weigh very much. Now that I have a battery in here, let's just check the surface area. So ailerons going up and down, that's great. Flaps over here, these are the flaps. All right, I'll point at this one. There we go. I'll leave them down for takeoff. And then back there, I don't know which camera's picking it up, but we do have elevators, up, down, up, down. And of course we have rudder control. Hopefully that's straight. And if I take off the throttle lock, should have some prop control. So what I'm doing now is I'm gonna put little cameras on this plane so I can give you some really cool perspective as it's flying in the air. Okay, you can see me back here. This is the Maiden Flight.
Timer start.
Going down the bumpy road. Let's give it some elevator. Oh, it just takes off like butter. And as expected, as a trainer, it doesn't fly very fast. It's very slow in the air. I'm gonna crank it up to 50% throttle. There we go, it's 50%. And then when I bring it around, I'm gonna slow it down. There's no wind today, so Yeah, I got nothing to go into on my slow diving flights like this. So this is like without wind. Look at this, no trimming, nothing. Okay, this is a trainer. Definitely a trainer. It is gorgeously beautiful, simple to fly. There's no worries whatsoever. It doesn't flip over, nothing. It just flies so beautifully. This one does have the reflex system in it by FMS, and I did turn it on for the launch. I thought it would hamper me, but I'm enjoying it.
Remaining 4 minutes.
I'm flying with reflex here. Look what I can do with reflex. Reflex is to help you stabilize in wind and all sorts of things. But look at this. This is reflex coming down. It's very confident flying. Look at that. It's just so beautiful. Wow. This is good. All right, let me try a touch and go. So let me come around. I'm gonna go full throttle now. You probably can't notice anything from the cameras on board going full throttle, but here I am doing full throttle really quick. And now I have to go over the school, miss all the students, and see if I can get it to come down for a touch and go without hitting my GoPro.
Timer stop.
All right, so there we go, coming down. So this would be like landing it. So just get over my GoPro here. There we are. And then touch and go. Beautiful. Well, if you can do a touch and go on a trainer plane, that means it's definitely made for beginners, because beginners will be doing touch and goes day one. I guess one other thing I should do is just see how it handles if you do any 3D maneuvers. So let me bring it down close here.
Timer stop.
Here's
Timer
full
start.
throttle. There we go. And here's 3D. Going up, gonna do a spin. Whoa, a stall spin. Look at that, really slow. And then back. That's cool. Come low and slow straight at me here. There we go, look at this. Just gliding. So beautiful in the air.
Start.
Now let's go this angle and bring it around. There we go. So I would say if you're a newbie flying this, always keep your throttle at 50%. Don't do like I'm doing, because if it starts to stall a little bit from turning, you might not have the experience to get it out of a stall. So if you keep it at 50%, there's no way you can stall it because it's really boogieing. All right, I think I know enough to see it as a trainer. Let's bring it down for a landing. I'll bring it from the woods so that we can see it coming at us. I'm not even gonna put flaps on, nothing. And we'll bring it around.
Timer stop.
Kill the throttle, throttle's off. No throttle, I have zero throttle happening now. I'm just letting it glide down. I'm giving it a little bit of elevator to keep it up. I probably could have slowed down the speed a bit, but there we go. So that was the maiden flight of the trainer. Is it for beginners? 100%. It is designed for beginners. It's very, very non-scary in flight. It's like there's no way a pilot would be scared flying this plane. It's really good. So that was a little bit over 4-minute flight, maybe 4.5 minutes. Let me show you how much battery power is remaining out of the 3S 2200 milliamp hour LiPo battery I placed in here flying for that long. Check this out. Here's our battery we use for the flight. Let's check how much voltage is remaining. Plug the balance cable into the voltage checker and it shows we are at 62% battery remaining after 4.5 minutes of flight time. What does that mean? Oh, it's going down to 61% now. So no, it's back to 62. So what does that mean? 62% means I could have probably flew this for about maybe 7 minutes on this tiny little battery. You can put a much larger battery in that plane. There's plenty of room in there to put a larger battery. So you could get yourself, I don't know, flights over 12 minutes if you wanted to with a larger battery. But on this little one, you're looking at probably about 7 minutes of flight time. Next thing I want to show you is what the box looks like that this comes in and how it's assembled. I'm going to tell you right now, pay attention to my assembly because the instructions are whack. They are very strange. So a beginner would be very lost. And this does have reflex in it, and the reflex system, this little orange box, it looks like, I'll put it up here, it's hidden in there. You can barely see it. So you really have to know what you're doing when you assemble everything. So I would say if you're a beginner, never flown an RC plane before or never assembled an RC plane, have somebody help you with this if you're a beginner, because I think as a beginner you'll be lost. I know myself, I wasn't lost. I was just scratching my head. Why did they make this so tough for a beginner? But anyways, here, watch my assembly. First, let me show you what comes in the box. This is the box the Sky Trainer comes in, and these are the contents inside. You'll find the horizontal stabilizer and the vertical stabilizer, as well as the main wings, wing supports, and wing spar. Then there is the very large main fuselage, followed by the landing gear, the propeller, and pretty much everything you need to complete assembling this plane. And now let me show you how to quickly assemble this plane. You'll find several bags containing control horns and linkage rods. You will have to install those control horns and linkage rods on all the surface areas. Here I'm showing you that I installed them already on the ailerons and the flaps, as well as the elevator in the rear, as well as the rudder in the rear. The next step is to install the landing gear, so take your bag of landing gear, take 2 of the wheels, and you just slide them into position, and then you lock them in place with the included 4 screws. To install the front landing gear, you'll have to remove the forward cowling. Slide the landing gear in place and lock it in place with the included screw. Then replace the cowling. To assemble the main wings, take your wing spar, place it in one wing, then place the other wing in the other end of the wing spar, bring the 2 wings together. Next, take the cable that says gear and plug all the tiny wires into it that also say gear. Those are your light wires. Next, take the cable that says flaps and plug all the wires into it that also say flap. Now is a good time to install the brackets for the wing support. So you have a bag that looks like this. The wing supports are labeled left and right, and they do need to be glued into position. Now it's time to install the main wings to the plane. Feed the wires through the top portion of the plane and they should come slightly out the bottom. The wings are then secured into position with the included 2 screws. Now is a good time to complete the install of the wing supports. You can see we need glue again. Once the support brackets are all glued into position, then you can mount the wing support itself. The wing support is secured into position with a screw and nut. Now it's time to install the horizontal stabilizer. Note that you have to pass the vertical stabilizer cable into the bottom cable coming out of the plane. With the cable connected, you can now glue the horizontal stabilizer to the fuselage. Once that's dry, then you can glue the vertical stabilizer to the horizontal stabilizer. When everything's dry, you can attach the linkage coming out of the plane to the elevators, and then do the same thing for the linkage coming out of the plane and attach it to the rudder. There are 2 antennas that are on the main wing. To put them into position, simply glue them in place. 2 fins also need to be glued to the vertical stabilizer. To install the propeller assembly, first mount the chrome base plate, then the propeller, then the nut. Make certain the nut is tight. Finally, snap on the chrome nose spinner. Then install a receiver and make sure all your surface areas function properly.
And you're back to me. So the only negative I have about this plane, only one negative, is that the assembly is just kind of weird. It's easy for somebody in the RC hobby, but for a beginner, I would expect assembly for a beginner to be like so simple, like, you know, making a sandwich, bread, meat, cheese or whatever, some mayonnaise and another piece of bread. It's that simple, but no, this thing here is just all over the map. So hopefully my assembly showed you what I mean about that, and you can get somebody to help you if you're brand new at this. So with all that said, it does fly beautifully. If you get it assembled, it flies beautifully. You're gonna love this plane, and it looks stunning. You know, there's not a lot of Cessnas on the market, so this is a Cessna with actual windows that you can see through. You don't see a lot of those on the market in the trainer plane system. Normally you get these high wing planes that just have blacked out windows, and there's not a lot of detail on them. They're very much made for beginners. I think if you got this, you would keep it for a very long time. It's very nice. Okay, so I'm going to put links to this plane below. It's around the $200 US mark. That's what you get, and $200 US does give you the reflex system. So if you enjoyed this video, or if you have questions on this video, post them below. But back to, if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll catch you in future videos with more FMS products and other products, planes from other people, as well as, of course, drones, because I am Captain Drone, and RC helicopters. I got a few new helicopters coming on the market. I got to show those, and maybe even a car or two. And yeah, we'll have a lot of fun. All right, catch you in the future videos. Bye.